Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through step by step how to create this look right here using the Hasina 2 palette from Blushtribe, and I'm also going to be giving you guys my little review at the end of this video. I have realized that a lot of people have been posting reviews and tutorials with this palette. This palette is a little bit older, if you will. It's definitely not a very new launch, but I got it November, December-ish, and since then I've really been working at it and learning about it and just getting ready for this review, and I figured I might as well give you guys my thoughts, my opinions. So the way I'm structuring this is a little bit different from my usual reviews. I basically decided to give you guys a little bit of a tutorial on how to create this eye look right here, and then at the end of this video I'll be giving you guys my final review of this palette. If you're looking for swatches or first impressions, I have both those videos up on my channel currently. I have swatches, I have first impressions. I did a swatch party when I first received this palette. I also did a first impressions as a follow-up, and I have had several videos after that featuring this palette as well, and I will construct a playlist and I will put it in the cards so it will be up there for your convenience. But basically I have really been getting to know this palette, and this is the review for this palette. So if you're interested in finding out how I created this look right here, then of course keep on watching. Today I want to really focus and be a little bit more in depth about how I use this palette, what my experience has been, and then of course I think at the end of the video or at the beginning, I'm not sure when, I will just give you guys a little bit of a rundown, but this part of the video is simply the demo. So I'm going to be using a little bit of a slightly more stiff brush. This is the brush that I'm using right here. As you can see, it has some tightly packed bristles, and what I have been doing is I like to just apply the color and I like to just pack it on top of my eyelid and then blend it out later. So here I'm going to take the color Mani and I'm just going to apply it to my brush. So then I'm just going to grab myself a little bit of a mirror. I'm just using this palette right here because I like the mirror in it, but I'm just going to take the color and I'm going to pack it onto my outer corner, and right away you can see how vivid the color is right off the bat. I am obsessed with how insane the pigmentation is. It's very superior to other shadows in my personal opinion. So you can see that I'm just packing the color on. That's kind of the look that I'm going for so far. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another brush. I think this is a little bit of a longer bristled brush right here, but still a little bit stiff. And I'm going to dip into this color called Erin and sort of, I don't know, just let's try and mix it in with Mahia, because I actually do love mixing the colors in this palette because you can see that there's quite a gradient of a lot of the shades. So this, I'm basically going to pack into my crease area, but I'm going to go in with a pretty light hand since I kind of want to blend all three of the colors. And then I'm going to go back in with Mani with that brush that I used to pack it on, and I'm just going to reapply it. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip this brush into Erin, and I'm going to use this to just add some green to the edges of the shadow. And I like to extend the color out, and what I do like is that the formula in this palette is, in my experience, very easy to work with and very blendable. So I personally, one of my gripes with my makeup technique is that I'm not very good at blending, so a lot of times you might see some harsh lines in a lot of my looks. My looks are not by any means perfect Instagram worthy, but I do like to just experiment a lot, and I do find that this palette right here, it really helps me out. It really just packs a punch with color, and the colors themselves, the mattes, are very easy to work with, very easy to blend out. I don't really have to work too hard to get the effect that I want, if that makes any sense. I basically want to try and use as many colors in this palette as possible without overwhelming the entire look. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of a baby crease brush, and I want to dip into the color Re. This is actually one of my favorite colors in the entire palette because it is so vibrant, it is so beautiful, and I'm going to basically be using a light hand to gently apply this color into my inner crease and lightly buff it out. Then I want to introduce a little bit of glitter glue into this look. And the reason is, I just find that a lot of times, like these days, nearly every single like shimmery, foily color I encounter is just made so much more amazing with the addition of a glitter glue underneath. And that's not to say that like this palette requires a glitter glue to like look good, but that's just how I've been doing it. So this is the NYX Glitter Primer, and I'm just gonna take a little bit on my fingertips, and I'm gonna put this like kind of overlapping with the green like into the center of my eyelid. And then I'm going to take this brush and flip it over, and I'm going to dip it into the color called Shea. Now, Shea is like, it's a great companion color, in my opinion, to Mani, because like they're very similar in tonality, except Shea is, of course, like a more shimmery version. It's definitely not the most metallic shade in the bunch, but it is really pretty, especially with the glitter glue. So I really like this shade a lot. It's kind of like a grungy looking like jade green in my opinion. Then I'm going to be taking a little bit more glitter glue, and I'm going to be applying this into the inner portion of my eyelid, not necessarily my inner corner, just like the remaining part of my eyelid that I have not covered with eyeshadow. And then I'm going to take a flat brush and dip into this color called Jade, which actually happens to be like one of my favorite colors in the entire palette. I have used this color almost every single time I've opened this palette, simply because it really functions as like this beautiful frosty green. This is actually one of my very favorite shades in the entire palette, just because of like how vibrant it is. And you can actually see like in a lot of my looks that I've done with this palette, I have used this shade with and without glitter glue, and it works just fine. Of course, like any shadow, when you use like glitter glue or when you use a wet brush, it's going to be even more vibrant. It's going to be like even more popping, and that's why like a lot of times I like using a glitter glue, because I like having the extra bling in there. But like a lot of times I haven't used glitter glue, and this particular shade especially has worked amazingly. So I'm going to take a pencil brush, and I want to dip into one of my favorite shades in the entire palette, and that happens to be this color called Mohan. I want to apply it to the central part of my lower lash line. And you can see that I'm pretty much packing it onto the center of my eye. I'm not working to like extend it either to my outer lower lash line or to my inner part, because I'm going to be taking another color on a small detail brush. This is this color called Anya, and I'm going to be packing this into the inner part of my lower lash line, kind of overlapping that purple as well. And then I'm going to be taking that original pencil brush with that purple on it, and I'm going to be using this to diffuse the edges of that purple. I want to make this look even more sultry, so I'm going to be taking a shadow stick, and I'm going to be lining the waterline of both eyes. And this actually happens to be like a very deep plum color, and I'm going to be taking that pencil brush with a little bit of purple left on it, and I'm going to be using this to smudge that line out. I'm packing even more color to my lower lash line. I kind of like the intensity of it, so I'm just going to be a little bit more liberal and pack still more purple on. Then, since the blue is getting a little bit swallowed up, I want to take a little bit more of it, and I want to pack it into the inner part of my lower lash line to really enhance the color. I'm packing more of the color Mani into the outer part of my eye look, and then I'll be taking that baby crease brush to just blend out the color. I really want to extend it outward to just elongate the eye, so that's kind of what I'm playing with here. So this is what the look is looking like currently, and I really do like it. So I kind of want to dip into this color called Faye, which is a blue tone silver, and then let me just apply it into my inner corner. So this is the completed eyeshadow look. I think I'm at a good stopping point. So I'm going to do the rest of my face. I'm going to do my face makeup, my lips, my mascara, and my false lashes, and then I'll be right back to you. Okay, so this is the finished look right here. My lips, I do admit they're not looking the best right now because I actually was like experimenting with the idea of doing a hot pink lip. I know, but like it didn't really look too good, so I just put on some products on top. I'll do my best to put the products that I used on my face today down below if you guys are interested in finding out. But this is like the finished look, and as you can see, I used most of the colors in this palette. Well, not most of them, but I used a good bit. And let's just go over the colors that I did use. I used Faye, I used Jade, Mani, Shay, Annika, Mohan, Ree, Erin, and Mahia. So I used those colors right there to create this look, and this is, in my opinion, a beautiful look, quite stunning. And I kind of want to go over and give you guys like my review of this palette and like my view of it. So the only color that I haven't used in this palette is this color called Ash. I know. I mean, I like to use every color whenever I do makeup reviews on certain products, and I like to like just go over the palette thoroughly and use every color basically. But I haven't really done any looks recently or been wanting to do any looks that use a black. Like, I know you can use a black to smudge liner, I know you can use a black for a variety of different things. This is a very versatile color, but I don't really use black right now. I haven't used black unless it's been for like eyeliner in a very long time. So this color has remained unused. However, I've used every single color in this palette remaining. By the way, if you're interested in like seeing swatches and my first impressions and tutorials that I've done with this palette, etc., I will put a playlist up in the cards so you guys can basically reference that and learn more about my experience with this palette. But overall, my experience with this palette has been very, very favorable. I have used it in a multitude of makeup looks. I have used it exclusively, and then I've also used it to add into other colors, into other palettes, and I've been obsessed with this palette. I love all the foils in here. I love all these colors, and they really just apply brilliantly. I have used them with and without glitter glue, and I have been very impressed. I think that when it comes to like the shades with the most like pop and the most like impact and just like the most like wow factor, I think that these two shades, like Faye and Jade and Monique, are the most reflective, the most like just Fava room shades, if you will, in this entire palette. Sorry, my explanations are a little bit dodgy. But yes, those shades are absolutely beautiful. My favorite is Jade right here. I used it in the inner portion of my eye look today, and I actually always love using this as an inner corner highlight, and in that way I'm able to make a really beautiful statement with my eye looks. So I have loved using this green as an inner corner highlight. And then when it comes to the mattes, now I think that the mattes, in my personal opinion, are the standouts of this entire palette. I think that all of them have like a beautiful level of pigmentation. The only shade in here that isn't as pigmented as the others, in my personal opinion, is this shade called Iris, which is like this really light violet color, because it swatches quite nicely, but then when you go in to blend it out, it becomes quite sheer. I don't really think that's negative though, because for me, I have loved using Iris as like a buffing out shade or as like a blending color, because you can use it with like this blue or this purple right here, which I'll get into later. But this, in my opinion, is like the transition color of this entire palette, because you can use it and it has so much versatility, and it works really nicely for buffing things out, for blending things. I've used it in my lower lash line. I've also used it in my like inner crease, and I've really loved it. Then Mohan is, in my opinion, it's like a shade that I really love, but it's a little bit difficult to work with. I used it in my lower lash line today right here, and you can see that it is very brilliant, very beautiful. It does require a little bit of building up, because if you want what's like in this pan, if you want like this dark brilliant purple like that's true to pan, you kind of have to like do 2 layers of eyeshadow. And the thing is, with this particular shade, it doesn't blend out very flawlessly, because if you go in to blend it out and you're you're a little bit more liberal with your pressure and like how you're maneuvering the brush, a lot of times the color will lift off, and that just goes to show, I feel like this is true for like the entire palette, that if your technique when applying shades is packing on and then blending out later, then you'll really like this palette, because you will find a lot of these shades very easy to use. And that's very true when I'm using this matte purple right here, because I find that the best way to make it work is to just pack it on the desired area of my eyelid, and then taking like a small fluffy brush, or even the same brush but using a very light hand, and just blending out the edges. I feel like that's the best way to use it, or even to use like this iris color to help blend this color out. So this color, one of my favorite shades, honestly. I've used it pretty much all the time. Like every time you see me pick up this palette, a lot of times I'm using this purple because I love it so much, but it does require a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of playing around. I just want to warn you about that. Then this color called Anya. It's so good. It is probably one of my like new favorite matte blues in my collection. It is a very cerulean blue. It is so incredibly unique. I've only had like one shade in my entire collection that is from ColourPop that just comes even close to imitating the tonality of this color right here. And this color is a million times better than that particular shade. It goes on very nicely. It blends out seamlessly. I think the first impressions that I did with this palette right here, I used that color and I was like just looking at that shade after I filmed that video, like I was so impressed by how it looked. It just really just blew the entire look out. I have packed it in certain areas. Today I packed it into the inner corner, like into the inner part of my lower lash line. And you can see like a little bit of hint of it, but I've used it like all over the lid. I've really just buffed it anywhere I want, and it is truly one of the most blendable shades in the entire palette. I really, really love it, and it packs a punch when you first apply it. Then which is this color right here, is also probably like one of my favorite shades in the entire palette because of how pigmented, of how easy to blend it is, how beautiful it is. And I just love using these two shades together because they just work together so well, and I love them. Like and Anya, two of my favorite shades in this entire palette. They're truly wonderful, and is like this turquoise. It's very easy to use, very beautiful, very blendable. And what's interesting about this color is that it kind of ties into the rest of the palette in a very unique way, because since it has so much blue in it, you can easily use it with some of the blues in the palette. And since it is technically a green, you can use it with the green shades as well. I believe I used to like just really buff out the crease of my eye, especially in the inner portion today, and it just is one of the most blendable colors in the entire palette. I absolutely love it. It's really easy to use. I just adore it. Then these two shades are quite similar, but I just love them so much. These are Erin and Mahi. I kind of really like Erin a touch more because it has so much yellow in it, and I really do like a very yellowy green. Now, these two shades are very, very beautiful. They're, again, pigmented, they're buttery, they're soft, they're easy to blend, and they just really pack a punch on the eyes. Then Mani is actually one of the most least used shades in this entire palette. I used it today a lot in the outer corner of my eye, but I haven't used it in a lot of looks that I can think of, but I absolutely love it still. This is the type of shade that I really do like for like a slightly more grungy, slightly darker green look. You can truly create so many different looks with this palette. You can go and create some brighter green looks, but this shade is, in my opinion, a really nice shade to use if you're really into like a little bit more of like a dumbed down version of a green look. If you want to, for instance, follow the green trend, but you don't want your eyeshadow to be the center of attention, and yet you still want to inject a little bit of color into your look, this shade is absolutely beautiful. I see it being very flattering on a variety of skin tones, and I absolutely love how pigmented it is, how much it packs a punch, and how easy it is to blend out. It is truly a wonderful shade, and it's very, very opaque. And I could say the same for like pretty much all of these matte shades, except maybe Iris, because like I said, Iris is a little bit sheer, but then again, it works brilliantly as a buffing out shade. A lot of times, you guys know that I like to talk on my channel about the fact that a lot of makeup items out there are very similar to each other. How it's essentially a little bit difficult to find brands or to find launches that are truly unique or add value to your collection, because I am someone that likes to stress the importance of choosing items, for me at least. I like to basically emphasize the importance of choosing items that really add value and a little bit of individuality to my collection. I don't really want to go out and buy like a palette that is like a carbon copy of every single palette out there, because I just don't think that really adds value to my collection, especially if I have already several versions of that palette in my collection already. However, this palette right here, I can truly say that if you don't have this palette in your collection, you likely don't really have anything similar to it. We don't really have a lot of cooler toned palettes on the market currently, and I do think that even though we are seeing like a little bit of an increase in the amount of cooler tone palettes that are being launched, we still don't have anything that quite replicates the color story that this palette offers. Also, there's the added bonus of the fact that this is a very high quality palette. It's very easy for me to work with, and I'm someone that, like, I would say that I'm kind of like mid-level when it comes to makeup talent. I'm not someone that is like just like an amazing makeup artist, but I'm also not a beginner, so I'm kind of like mid-level, I would say, and I find this very easy to use, very enjoyable. I truly love just pairing it with like different palettes as well, and you can literally create whatever cool tone look you want with it. You can create a blue look, you can create greens, purples, and the colors in here work so well together. Again, I personally do have to be a little bit cognizant of the fact that you have a palette with green and purple in it, and traditionally you can't really mix green and purple too easily without them turning into a neutral, because like the green and purple are simply not colors that work too well together in my personal experience. But I have managed to work around that by simply packing on certain shades, by being a little bit careful with how I'm blending things out, by being cognizant of the colors that I'm pairing together, and as a result I have created so many looks that I've absolutely enjoyed and loved with this palette, and I'm very, very happy that I decided to just purchase this palette, because it doesn't even matter how long it took me to actually receive this palette. I am so happy with the product in my hands, and I'm just so like just in love with this palette and the looks that I've created with it. So I'd highly recommend this if you're looking for a good cool tone palette and you haven't gotten one yet. I'd highly recommend getting this one, because like it is absolutely gorgeous. So that is it for this video today. I know I was a little bit rambly, and I hope that you guys got a lot of information in this video as well. Let me know what you thought of this palette. Let me know if you own this palette already, and let me know what you think of this look. I feel like it's very dark, very sultry, very much things that I absolutely love, of course. But yes, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys.